Okay, so something tells me I'm going to rant with this one. Some of you may have heard that Louisiana has signed a law requiring public schools, to display the Ten Commandments. And I'm sure it's going to be the same old bullcrap that people have been debunking for years. But, these people don't actually care about facts or anything, so what can you do besides sue their pants off? So anyway, what the heck? A bill signed into law this week makes Louisiana the only state to require that the Ten Commandments be displayed in every classroom in public schools and colleges, and stirs the long-running debate over the role of religion in government institutions. They make it sound like the other side, the side that's signed this bill into law, has a legit point. They don't. The founding fathers have said very, very specifically that religion and government should be kept separate. There is a line between the two, and I don't care what these Christian nationalists say. Now, I'm not saying Christians, because I know it's not all Christians, but these asshats who seem to think that they speak for their religion. So anyway, moving on. Under the new law, all public K-12 classrooms and state-funded universities will be required to display a poster-sized display of the Ten Commandments in large, easily readable font next year. Right, because we have to make sure that people will know that they're having someone else's religion shoved down their throats. Aren't these the same asshats who complain that pride is shoving it down everyone's throats? And now they're doing this shit? Civil liberties groups planned lawsuits to block the law signed by Republican Governor Jeff Landry, saying it would unconstitutionally breach protections against government-imposed religion, which is a major, which is why Louisiana is currently the only state that has this rule, because it's blatantly unconstitutional. Now, granted, based on the Supreme Court we have right now, I have no problem believing that this would stand. I don't trust the Supreme Court as far as I can throw them. However, it doesn't change the fact that it is blatantly unconstitutional. The founding fathers were very explicit. Chris Dyer, who was named the Louisiana Teacher of the Year in 2020, said Thursday that he worried the required display could send a message that a teacher, school, community, and state prefers certain religions over others. Well, obviously that's the whole point of this. And could make some students feel incredibly isolated. Exactly. If you are non-Christian, whether it be Muslim, Hindu, atheist, I don't care what you personally identify as. If you see the Ten Commandments in large font for you to see in space, you wouldn't feel like you're welcome there, because they're basically screaming, we are a Christian school. We don't care about you unless you're Christian. So yeah. State officials are stressing the history of the Ten Commandments, which the bill calls foundational documents of our state and national government, which again is bullshit. Because, the national government, I'm sorry, this country was founded by deists. They did not give one whit about your Ten Commandments. I just do not know why you are so insistent on thinking that the Ten Commandments somehow is this group of laws that nobody ever thought of before. Like, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me just continue. The 10 Commandments are pretty simple. Don't kill, steal, cheat on your wife. But they also are important to our country's foundations. Attorney General Liz Murrill, a Republican ally of Landry, of course she is, who will defend the law in court, said in a social media statement. Okay. Yes, it does have those commandments. It also has religious commandments. It is not just that. And not only that, you know that there were documents prior to the Ten Commandments that had the same shit, right? It's not like the Ten Commandments are saying some hidden truth that nobody ever thought of before. It had been around. So, again, this is all about religion. You're just desperately trying to make it seem like religion has nothing to do with it, which is why they don't even point out that there are religious commandments in there, because they're desperately trying to show that even though it's in the Bible, it's not actually biblical or something. Similar bills requiring the Ten Commandments be displayed in classrooms have been proposed in other state houses, including Texas, Oklahoma, and Utah. And what do all those states have in common? They are super religious. And because they are super duper Christian, then obviously we must force everyone to be super duper Christian, because that's how religion works. All right, let's get into earlier controversies. I'm not sure why, but okay. In 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a similar Kentucky law violated the Establishment Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which says Congress can make no law respecting an establishment of religion. The High Court found that the law had no secular purpose, but rather served a plainly religious purpose, which is why, going back to what I said earlier, they are not talking about the religious aspects. They're just talking about don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill, which are all good rules to live by. We literally have laws against those things. Well, except for potentially cheating, depends on what the cheating is. So, because I'm pretty sure in the commandment it means adultery, which, okay, yeah, that sounds like a legit rule, unless you're talking open relationships. However, they're trying not to point out that it's a religious document for the very reason, like this, that if they don't point out its religiosity, that it's a very Christian document, that somehow they can trick people into letting it through. In its most recent rulings on 10 Commandments displays, the Supreme Court held in 2005 that such displays in a pair of Kentucky courthouses violated the Constitution. At the same time, the court upheld a 10 Commandments marker on the grounds of the Texas State Capitol in Austin. Those were 5-4 decisions, but the court's makeup has changed, with a 6-3 conservative majority now. Like I said, I have no problem believing that this is why these laws are proliferating now. Because they know that the Supreme Court will uphold them. Or at least they're pretty sure that they will. So, yay. The issue has roiled politics in other states from time to time. In Alabama, Roy Moore was removed as Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court in 2003 for disobeying a court order to remove a Ten Commandments monument from the court's building. After he was elected to the post again, Moore was suspended from the bench in 2016 after a judicial discipline panel ruled that he had urged probate judges to refuse marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Moore disputed the accusation. Imagine that, a religious nut who is forcing his nuttery on other people. Wow, never would have guessed. Voters approved an amendment to the Alabama Constitution in 2018 saying schools and public buildings can display the Ten Commandments as long as it is done in a way that complies with constitutional requirements, such as being integrated with historical documents. Another way Louisiana is trying to get around this problem is by claiming that it's a historical document. No. It's historical in the same way as, well, any book is that's suitably old. Because, again, the Ten Commandments, yes, it has do not kill. So do our laws. It's not because of the Ten Commandments. That is just good policy. It's been around before the Ten Commandments. It was around after the Ten Commandments. It has nothing to do with people being freaking Christian. You are not special just because you're Christian. Because let's face it, that's what this is about. All right. Louisiana had had a prominent role in the church-state legal fight before in 1987. The Supreme Court struck down a 1981 Louisiana statute that required instruction on evolution to be accompanied by teaching on creation science. The court found that the statute had no identifiable secular purpose, and the preeminent purpose of the Louisiana legislature was clearly to advance the religious viewpoint that a supernatural being created humankind. Because that's what creation science is. It's not science, it's creationism. Now, if by any chance a creationist could ever prove that creationism is a thing, then obviously people might revisit this concept. But as of now, it doesn't. Evolution does have evidence for it. So, it doesn't belong in a science classroom because it's not science. Mississippi has mandated the display of "In God We Trust" in schools since 2001. Louisiana passed a similar mandate that became law last year. And we have a perfectly good motto, which is not "In God We Trust," even though it is, people seem to think that that is our national motto. It's actually "E Pluribus Unum," which is out of many, one. So, again, bullshit. The latest pushes to post the Ten Commandments follow a major victory for the religious right in 2022. The Supreme Court ruled that a high school football coach in the state of Washington who knelt and prayed on the field after games was protected by the Constitution. Which we found out later that the Supreme Court just didn't want to look at the facts of the case, which proved that he was doing this in a demonstrative way. He was trying to push his religion on people. It wasn't this organic coming together like he's was trying to say that it was. Of course, if anybody was paying attention, you knew that even without finding out more facts about the case, but yeah. Jews and Christians regard the Ten Commandments as having been given by God to Moses. I can read. According to biblical accounts on Mount Sinai. Not every Christian tradition uses the same 10 commandments. Another problem I forgot to mention, which 10 commandments are we using now? The order varies, as does the phrasing, depending on which Bible translation is used. The 10 Commandments is the signed Louisiana legislation are listed in an order common among some Protestant and Orthodox traditions. Would never have guessed that. All right, that is the end of that article. And, yeah, I would love for this to be shot down. And like was mentioned, people like the ACLU, and yes, I can call them people. Thank you, Citizens United, are going to be challenging and bringing up lawsuits. And it's only a matter of whether the Supreme Court is completely and utterly religious wackos, which they are. Or maybe by then they'll actually surprise us, and maybe they'll realize, oh yeah, we kind of don't want to do that. But I don't think that's going to happen. The ACLU and other groups could bring up a perfect case, which, to my mind, you couldn't bring a bad one in this case. It's very open and shut. But, yeah, I'm sure that the conservative justices will find some reason to rule against them because, they're just completely nuts about their religion that they wholeheartedly believe that it should be shoved down everybody's throat. I really don't care if you have a tattoo of the 10 Commandments, which, fun fact, tattoos are a sin in the Bible. But I don't care if you have one. You want to profess your love for your religion? Fine. Don't care. Don't tell me I have to, though. I really have no interest in your religion. So, yeah. But you're free to practice it all you want. That's what the First Amendment's for. You have your religion. You're free to practice it however you want, as long as it doesn't impede on my not wanting to practice your religion. So anyway, that is all I have for this article. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.